Hello, my name is Roy Sheppard and I'm the author of the book How to Be Loved from Dating to Mating. I'm now going to read the introduction to the book. The paperback version of this book was called How to Be the One. It sold out. When it was originally published, the book received international media coverage in many magazines, including You, the UK's largest circulation women's supplement, in the Mail on Sunday, as well as on CNN in the US. This book is a new approach to dating. It's for men and women of all preferences, persuasions and religions who are looking for a long-term, serious relationship with one other person, perhaps after years of fun dating. So if you want a long-term partner to share your life with, a special relationship based on honesty, kindness, mutual respect, deep intimacy and love, and are prepared to actually do something about it, then this is for you. Real face-to-face dating has been quite challenging since early 2020 as COVID-19 lockdowns throughout the world made it difficult, impossible, or even illegal to meet any new people. For many single people living on their own, the isolation has been even more challenging. Now, with the prospect of a return to some kind of normality around the world, let's all hope that new friendships and deeper relationships can restart. For a lot of people, it's a restart in so many other ways too. Perhaps you've decided to rethink your personal and longer-term relationship priorities. I hope this updated book helps you. A key message is a simple one, although it's easier to say than do. If you really want a long-term, meaningful relationship with the best, you have to be prepared to put at least some effort into being the best for them too, whether you've yet to meet them or not. If you've already found the one, this book will also show you many ways to help you connect at a deeper level with your partner, especially if you read it together. It may also help rekindle the original love, respect, and appreciation your relationship enjoyed in the past. How to Be Loved is also for the single men and women who are serious about wanting a long-term partner to share their lives with, in a special relationship based on honesty, kindness, mutual respect, deep intimacy and love, and are prepared to actually do something about it. In fact, it's for anyone who wants to be that one person who brings the best out in a partner, who is in turn as equally devoted to you. All too often, though, when there's any discussion about relationships, the focus is invariably on the differences between the sexes. There are so many books, magazine articles, radio and TV programs on the subject. Some are downright divisive, driving a deep wedge between the sexes. Only last night, while waiting for a train, I saw a beautiful young woman. She was reading a particular book which promised to help female readers to become a bitch, because that apparently is what men want. I'm guessing that she simply wanted someone to want her. We all do. But being nasty to another human being is hardly likely to bring lasting happiness to anyone. Bookshelves groan under the weight of books that explain how to get more dates or offer underhanded, dirty tricks and manipulative techniques readers can use to get their prey to want them more, whether for casual sex or for marriage. Some of these books boast sales in the millions and countless marriages as a result of their rules and deceitful techniques. The authors are less forthcoming about how many of those marriages actually ended in painful divorces for everyone, including countless innocent children. Techniques to manipulate another individual may indeed work in the short term, but any relationship based on this type of behaviour cannot and will not last. In these pages, you'll find hundreds of ways to become, without any manipulation or trickery, the sort of person another genuine man or woman would choose and want to keep as a lifelong partner. Looking hot or cool is certainly exciting. However, being warm can appear boring by comparison. Yet, it's shared warmth in a relationship that gives it longevity. Invariably, when relationships break down, it's the warmth that's lost, replaced by an intensely cold shield that's designed to offer protection from emotional pain. Cold determination not to get hurt is often the priority. Sadly, it doesn't always work. This book sets out, in a gender-neutral way, to concentrate on the similarities and shared relationship aspirations of men and women of all ages and backgrounds. It's therefore been created following extensive collaboration with a team of men and women, both single and married. Rather than taking a group of women into a room and men into another and then talking to them separately about what the other sex doesn't understand or consistently fails to get right, please think of this book as the equivalent of bringing men and women together into the same room and discussing together how each gender can better understand the needs, fears and dreams of the other. Doing this, it's hoped that everyone can gain more clarity about what men and women look for in a long-term partner and what you can do to become that person, whether for your existing partner or for that special someone you've yet to meet. You may also become a far more appealing person to yourself. How to be Loved is therefore very definitely for men and women. If you're currently single, use this time to get yourself ready for the time when you meet that special person. If you're in a relationship, please read it together and use it as the basis for discussions about how you can become closer. Either way, think of this book as part of your relationship personal development program. Make notes if your ebook device allows you to do so, or use a separate notepad. Answer the questions, do the exercises, do whatever it takes to absorb the most relevant ideas. A tiny improvement today can have massive and positive effects in the longer term. And when you add together a lot of small improvements, the benefits are even greater. A ship that alters its course by only 1 degree will, over time, end up in a totally different place. So can you, and it will be a better place. We all seem to know what we need to do, but we don't do even the basics. In many cases, the reason is simple. We simply forget. So at the end of each emotional core section, you'll find a series of daily stop and start reminders to help you integrate new thoughts and behaviors into your life. You don't have to do any of them, really, because if you agree with any of what you read and then think and feel it's a chore to make adjustments in your behavior and attitude, you won't do it. You might start with good intentions, but it probably won't last. However, if you choose to make the reminders a part of your future life, you'll benefit more from the rest of what's in this book. Many of the ideas are so simple. When taken on their own, they may appear fairly small and insignificant, but add them all together and apply them over time, and they become a powerful and potent way to be far more appealing to others. There's space at the end of each section for you to add any new reminders you can think of. The more you remind yourself to make even small improvements on a daily basis, the more likely it will be that these actions will become new and beneficial habits. Repeated often enough, in time your brain learns to do them unconsciously. They become permanent improvements. So when you read this book, just play with any of the ideas it triggers. Play around with what you learn and what you choose to do. Carry it around with you. Dip into it on a regular basis. Then once you've read it, you might want to make appointments in your diary to skim read the book again weekly or in a month's time, then a month or two after that. One more thing. Please don't ever beat yourself up about anything you read in this book. On that basis, you're invited to be the one for that special person you've either yet to meet or perhaps you've already met and you'd like them to choose to stay in your life forever. If you find this book particularly thought-provoking and helpful, please discuss it with family, friends and partners. Be free to disagree. Use it as a springboard towards a better future for you and for them. I believe that everyone has all the answers, seriously, but in many cases they aren't asking the most helpful questions. Most people get stuck sometimes. Often this is because they keep asking themselves the same unhelpful questions. An unhelpful relationship question could be, will I ever find the one? A more helpful alternative could be, I wonder what I could do right now to increase the chances that I do meet the one and they feel the same way about me. That's what you'll find in this book. Lots of new, empowering questions to trigger new thoughts and better options. Sometimes it can take just one breakthrough question that really hits home to have a miraculous and magical impact. Imagine how valuable it would be to you if you found a lot of really great questions here. With an open mind, you just might, and you might even find yourself being able to answer them. Conflict is a natural part of most relationships. However, knowing how to resolve differences is rarely taught. You'll find a lot of practical ideas in Chapter 10 about the different elements of intimacy. You might be asking, who are you to be writing this book? Well, for the past 30 years, I've earned a living on stage, on TV, or on the radio asking questions. I trained as a hypnotherapist. I've facilitated and moderated countless in-depth, highly charged and sometimes highly sensitive discussions. My role is to be an independent conscience of the audience, to bring together participants and audience members in order to gain greater clarity of thinking and a better understanding of the issues discussed and a shared desire to move forward in a constructive way. In some cases, my questions can be pretty unpalatable and are often very challenging, but the intention is always the same: to bring men and women together. A UK journalist once described me as a business Oprah Winfrey, which I still think is a pretty cool compliment. I've lectured and written extensively on creating and maintaining business as well as personal relationships, and I've done that at leading business schools, conferences and seminars. I've been interviewed on radio and TV about all facets of relationships more times than I can remember. And personally, I've been married and divorced twice. Therefore, I am also a participant, not just an observer. A first-class you. When I was 24, I worked for the BBC. I was what is known as a continuity announcer. Not only was I a voice of the BBC, with my role came a great deal of responsibility. I was personally responsible for putting television programmes on the air. More importantly, when things went wrong, as they often did in those days, I had the authority to make some fairly important decisions that affected the BBC. For a 24-year-old, it was quite stressful. Because of this responsibility and how the BBC was organised, I had a fairly senior management grade, and with that came a number of perks, one of which was being allowed to travel first class on the train if I was travelling on BBC Business. If you're a British reader, you'll be pleased to know that I never wasted your TV licence fee by doing that. I thought it was wrong, and for non-UK listeners, in Britain you have to pay an annual licence fee to own or rent a TV set, and revenues from this licence fee is currently used to fund production of all BBC radio and TV programmes. Anyway, many years later, I went through a personal crisis, and the word divorce was part of it. I told you I was a participant. When you go through particularly bad times in your life, you tend to reflect on all sorts of things: what you've learned, what you'd do again, and what you wouldn't. I found myself thinking about the real reason I never travelled first class when I worked at the BBC. In truth, I didn't feel I deserved to travel first class. You see, at that point, everything about my life was in economy. I didn't feel I ever deserved anything better than cheap. Certainly nothing first class. This hit me hard. For the next week or so, I found myself feeling very upset about this realisation. Then one day, it dawned on me that first class isn't a seat, it's an attitude. It's an attitude to life. Therefore, it's also a choice. And I decided from that moment on to live a first-class life. There have certainly been times since then when I've forgotten to do so, but it's not long before I remember again and carry on with life. I sincerely believe that you can also make the same choice. You can be first class, simply by deciding to be first class, not in a narcissistic, arrogant way or insisting that you or someone else pay more than you need to for toys that make you feel important short term, but first class at a much deeper level. Being a first-class person for the one can only happen if you've made an investment in being a first-class person for yourself. Every first-class athlete is aware of their core. Core muscles reside deep in the pelvis, lower back and abdomen, and athletes know how critically important these muscles are to their physical stability, flexibility and strength. All top-level training programs include a regime to develop an athlete's core. For the first time, this book introduces the concept of your emotional core. This consists of 4 core emotional qualities that help with your stability, flexibility, and inner strength. A strong and robust emotional core effectively protects your heart and even your soul. The best relationships can be truly transformational, but we all know that a bad one can also be so devastating. For many, the pain of previous relationships exacts a high price. They feel unable or unwilling to surrender to the sheer joy of a relationship just in case it doesn't work out, and they end up falling apart. So they enter all relationships, especially those they think could be significant ones, in a highly defensive manner. However, a strong emotional core that's been developed over time gives you the inner strength to know that even if you get injured emotionally, you're more likely to be able to cope effectively and also recover far more quickly. This is precisely how athletes benefit following injury when they have a strong physical core. This isn't to suggest that you throw caution to the wind with everyone you meet, but knowing you have a strong emotional core allows you the opportunity to be emotionally available to your partner. Do that and you become as irresistible to the one as they are to you, and without any tricks, manipulation or deception. You just can't have a successful long-term relationship if it's based on faking it. How to be loved is about how you can become a first-class version of you. It doesn't mean perfect, because no one is, and those who insist on perfection for themselves invariably make life fairly miserable for everybody else around them. I hope this book proves to be a first-class ticket for your future journey. Please feel free to share it with anybody that you know who might also find it interesting. Good luck.